behind enemy lines with some bad intel, and a monster. Let's talk about Bone Cold. Hey everyone, this is David Starr from Watcher Pass, and I'm here to talk to you about Bone Cold, which comes to digital DVD and Blu-ray on June 13th, 2023. It is a new horror action movie being distributed by Welgo USA. And my hot take is, look, I was kind of between a rent and a pass on it. I think ultimately, though, I would say you should probably pass on this. Look, it's a film that tries to take on mental health in the military and has an interesting angle to do it. But I don't know, I think the horror elements aren't strong enough and the action itself aren't strong enough to really kind of make this a movie you have to see. I did like a lot of things about it that I'm going to talk about, but overall, I think the sniper movie just maybe kind of missed the mark. So I'm going to tell you a little more about the film, a few things I liked, a few things I didn't like, and then go into the ending. So as you can imagine, there will be spoilers in the ending section. If you don't want to know what happens in this movie, I would turn it off when I get to the ending section. Before that, I'll keep it vague, I'll keep it spoiler free, and I'll let you know when I get to those spoilers. So in Bone Cold, you have an elite sniper duo who are on a mission. I think they're in Ukraine. They're there to take out the leader of this, I guess, rebel faction that is causing some issues for the area. They're supposed to go in, kind of surgically take them out, and then get out. It's supposed to be a quick mission. It's a very, very kind of short mission time, but some shoddy intel and the appearance of this mysterious creature derail that and cause the mission to go south. Now, do they succeed? Do they escape? You'll have to keep watching to find out. So, things I liked about this movie. The first, I liked the two main characters. I liked the sniper duo. You have John, who was kind of like the sniper himself, the one who's like a little calmer, a little bit more reserved. He's a little more methodical. Then you have like his spotter teammate Marco, who is more outgoing, more kind of like I don't know, hot-headed. He is a lot of fun to have in there, and I liked seeing their interaction. It was kind of a nice duo of characters to kind of like keep the audience engaged. The second thing I liked about this film is I like that it tried to take on mental health. It kind of used the horror medium to take on mental health in the military in this interesting way. I thought that was a nice idea, and I like that it tried to do it. Like I'll go later. I don't think it fully succeeded, but I did like that it used the horror medium to try to talk about, you know, PTSD and kind of the effect of the mission on military members in an interesting way. Last thing I liked is some of the effects. I like that the film used practical effects for some aspects of the film. There are certain parts of the gore during the mission and also some of the blood effects. They're all practical. I always love when horror movies use practical effects because they look so much better and they help to like prevent you from being pulled out of the experience. That being said, things I didn't love as much about this film. But first, it's a pretty slow movie. Like the film has three kind of main acts. You got a short starting act, a middle that is pretty long, and then a short ending act. And the middle is the mission, so it's kind of the meat of the movie. But it really does feel like it takes a very long time. Even though there is this like artificial clock in there, it doesn't feel like there's a ton of urgency. And it feels like there's a lot of downtime as they're waiting to do the mission. So that leads the middle of the movie to really kind of drag. It makes it so you're not as engaged at the part when you should be the most engaged. The second thing I didn't love as much, it's not very scary. Like the film is a horror movie. It's using horror to then talk about other subjects, but the film itself is not overly scary or overly kind of concerning. I wish that there was a greater sense of dread from the creature, but you don't really get that. The creature just kind of like pops in and out here and there. You don't really get a sense of it, the danger that it poses or the fear, because you don't really get a great look at the creature, and then B, it has such fleeting moments that you don't really get a good sense of how scary the creature is. The third thing I didn't love as much is I like that this film tried to take on mental health. I don't think it did a great job of seeing it. I think it used the creature to kind of like showcase PTSD and the effect on military members, but I think they could have done it a little bit differently to have a greater overall impact. The creature itself, I think, was just a little bit too kind of like out there and not based in, I don't know, reality, or based in kind of like the things that were happening in the mission to really drive that home. It kind of was this other entity that was part of the mission, but didn't really fully connect to the mental health part of it. I think I know where they were going with it, but I don't think it did a great job of kind of really delving into it. The last thing I didn't love about this film was the creature itself. I've talked about it a little bit, but the creature was like this goblin looking thing with CG aspects to it. You got fleeting glimpses of it here and there, but then when you finally did see it, it was not very impressive. And it also just didn't feel very scary. Like you had sounds here and there, you had it appearing in moments. You didn't get a good sense of like why the creature was there, what like the parameters of it were, if there were any parameters. Sometimes it was invisible, sometimes only one person could see it, sometimes it interact with people, other times it like almost was like a ghost. It just felt a little bit too sloppy for me. It didn't have like a good sense of what it could and couldn't do. And it was in there so sporadically that I didn't get a sense of like how dangerous this thing was. So overall, I liked some aspects of Bone Cold. I liked the cast, and I liked some of the things it was going for, but I think this is ultimately a pass. So if you want to check it out, Bone Cold is out on digital, DVD, and Blu-ray on June 13, 2023. I'm going to go ahead and talk about the ending now. So if you don't want to know what happens in this film, I would turn it off now because there will be spoilers. So like I said, in Bone Cold, you have a sniper duo, John and Marco, who are sent to Ukraine to take out the kind of leader of this militia group that is causing problems. Now, the really interesting thing is I just talked to the director, and this film was filmed in 2019. He said it in Ukraine because it was like a similar locale to the area where he was filming. It was before any of the Ukraine invasion happened. So it is completely random that it is set in Ukraine. It wasn't trying to like capitalize on any current events. But they are sent to Ukraine to do this mission to take out the leader of this militia group. Now, when they get there, their intel is really bad. They have almost no way to positively identify the person. I think their intel is like white guy. I think their intel is like white male with glasses and like a few other things. There's a very, very loose way to identify this person. I think they got a picture, but they might not have it. So when they're doing the positive identification, it's really tough to get it. Eventually, they get enough information to at least hit their intel checkpoint to get their positive identification. And John takes a shot. He takes this person out, but instantly he doesn't feel good about this. Like he doesn't feel like this was the right move. But after they take out the leader, they try to get an exfil. They try to get out of there, but their headquarters is saying that there's more chatter and that the person is still alive. And so apparently either the ID was bad or the intel was bad. Something was messed up, and so then they have to stay in and kind of divert the mission to go and take out the leader. They're getting some new intel, trying to figure out where this leader is. John and Marco don't want to do that. They kind of want to get out. This is not a great situation, but they're the only assets in the area, so they have to continue the mission. So because like John has to know, they decide to go into the cabin and find out who this person is. They get his ID. They realize it's not the target that they had, and so now they really have to go and take out this other target. But because of the delay in getting to the cabin and like inspecting this place, you have some other militia members, soldiers kind of come to their location. So they escape before these three new members can find them. But John is starting to kind of see this monster, this entity in like the periphery of his vision. Like far off in the woods, he sees this like dark figure that he can't really describe it, but it seems very menacing. It seems to be getting closer. Eventually, it becomes too much, and he takes out his gun and fires a shot. Now, the creature gets hit, but it doesn't go down. It doesn't do anything. Unfortunately, that shot alerts the other three people who had just come to investigate this dead person that there are enemies in the area. They're able to quickly dispatch two of these members, but one is a sniper who's like out in the woods. And unfortunately, Marco gets hit by one of the shots during this altercation. So he gets hit by a sniper. He doesn't die. His armor is able to stop the bullet, which I don't know, that must be good armor to like be able to stop a sniper rifle shot. But in any event, it's able to stop the bullet. He has some cracked ribs, but he's okay. And they are able to kind of like use Marco to distract the sniper enough to fish out her location, and John is able to take the shot and clear the danger. Now, because of this new intel, they have to move quickly to take out this new target. So they have to move through the night. Now, during the night, as you would imagine, it's not great for someone that is seeing a creature. And during this time, John hears and sees the creature. He hears things in the woods. He sees the creature. Eventually, Marco gets pulled away by the creature into the woods. Now, John pursues, is able to find Marco. He is not like he's hurt, but he's still fine. He was pulled away and he like lost his pack. John also lost his pack when he was pursuing Marco. So now they have no supplies. They're in the woods. There is this creature around them, but they still have to get the mission done. They put in one last request to exfil. They say like, look, we have no supplies. We are injured. We want to get out of here. We don't think this is the right time for the mission. And unfortunately for them, headquarters denies their request. So they have to continue the mission, finish the operation. They move to the like training camp, the location where the target is. They see the target and they end up kind of like injuring him. So John originally does this shot that like takes out three guards in one. It's a pretty cool shot. And then he shoots the target as he's running away. The target gets hit with a body blow, not fatal. I think that was by design. I think John doesn't want to kill this person until they get full positive ID. And then they take out all the other guards. Now, John is saying like, I need a full positive ID, like before you take him out, like give it to me. And headquarters is not like able to do that. Marco is kind of frustrated at this because John has been seeing things. He's been acting strangely. Marco just wants to gather. He's like, let's just get this done. So he eventually just goes up to the target on the ground, takes him out, mission done. They can get their exfil. But while Marco's doing this, he gets shot again. Apparently that sniper they took out didn't actually get taken out. Maybe she was injured or she just like got spooked. So now she's set up and she shoots Marco. It's not great for John because if he would have actually taken the shot from his covered position, Marco wouldn't have been dead. But Marco gets shot in like the neck and he bleeds out. So after this, John is obviously upset because Marco's dead, but then he sees the creature and I think his guilt is like overcoming him. He pulls off his armor, grabs a knife and like wants to take on the creature. Now the sniper has John in his sights, but she doesn't take the shot. She sees the creature too and just kind of like watches them. Now, during the fight, the creature pins John to the tree and starts like ripping out his intestines, ripping out his stomach. And you're like, okay, this is interesting. Like I wasn't sure where the movie was going to go because if they killed him with like 30 minutes, 20 minutes left in the movie, I wasn't sure what was going to happen. I thought maybe the female sniper would become the main character. But no, after the creature like rips John apart, you see John again and he seems fine. He seems robotic and like he's possessed, but he is not injured. So he gets out of there, they exfil him, Marco's dead, but he is able to get back to his home and he has clearly been changed. Like he is kind of aloof, he is robotic at times, he is quick to anger. He definitely is being affected by this creature that is apparently inside him now. And there's one scene which is kind of where the title of this movie is like shown. He's like in the shower, it's like scalding hot. His wife goes in and like asks him what he's doing. He's been like standing there for a while. He gets out, you can see his back is all red and he's just like, I'm freezing. So something is like clearly affecting him. So eventually John goes back to his command and says like he needs to talk, and he basically says like, why did we have 2 targets? So he's either rolling the dice or he figured out that headquarters wanted to take out 2 people. And his commander, this colonel who is like way too young probably to be a colonel and also has like a beard, so maybe he has a shaving waiver, I'm not sure, but he tells him that there were always going to be 2 targets. They needed them to take out the like rebel militia leader's brother to flush him out. Like the rebel militia leader was in hiding, and so they used the bad intel to take out the brother, who was similar enough that they could kind of like, they kind of like smoke and mirrors it to say it was a bad identification, and that flushed the rebel leader out of hiding, and then they were able to take out the leader. They couldn't obviously do this on the record because you can't really take out a civilian in order to flush out an enemy combatant. And so they use this like fog of war, bad identification as a justification to make this happen. So, and unfortunately for John, he was kind of the patsy in this. He's the one that had to take out the innocent person, and that, affects him a lot. He says he's done and he leaves. He then talks to his wife about like what happened in the mission. That is probably not great because now he is also spilling classified information. But you know what? He probably has to get it off his chest. So he tells his wife about what happened. But after he's done telling his wife this, he gets spooked. He hears something in the back. He looks and he sees like a shed that was in Ukraine when he was out there. And this causes him to get freaked out. He pulls his gun and he starts hearing and seeing the monster around. He tells his wife to get their daughter out and like leave. And so she gets the daughter, she leaves, and he starts just kind of like seeing the creature like around. He's shooting at it at random places. His wife gets the daughter into the car and she says, you stay here. If I'm not here back in 5 minutes, go run and get help. She gets back into the house, sees him like pointing a gun, sees him like firing it randomly, and she tries to talk to him, tries to calm him down. Eventually he sees the creature like behind his wife, and you see him turn the gun towards his wife. So he had previously had a violent vision. He'd seen himself shooting his wife and his daughter, and so you're like, uh-oh, this is not going to be good. Eventually the daughter comes in the house, she's walking in, and you're like, oh, this is really not going to be good. Like she's going to see something terrible. She walks in looking for her parents. She gets into the room and she sees her mom and she runs up and hugs her. Thankfully, her mom is alive, which I was happy about. I liked that it ended this way. I thought that, if he ended up shooting her, that would have been, I don't know, kind of not cliche, but that would have been kind of like the dramatic Hollywood way to end it, which I didn't love. I liked the way it ended here, where he didn't end up pulling the trigger, that she helped him to kind of like overcome his demons. So John's on the ground, like seemingly devastated. His daughter gives him a hug and asks if he's okay. And I think at this point, he finally is. So you flash forward a little bit and you see John looking out the window, at night, kind of seeing if anything's out there. His wife comes up and says, like, if he asks if he sees something, he says no, but that doesn't mean that there's nothing out there. And he turns around and his shirt is off. He's got scars on his stomach, so you think that's probably where the creature like entered into him. And you also and then you see a vision of him thinking about the guy that he shot. And that was kind of the last thought. That was the last thing. It seems like he is kind of like over the guilt part of the PTSD, but it is still affecting him and he's still kind of thinking about it. So that's the end of Bone Cold. Like I said, I think it's probably a pass. It's between a pass and a rent. I think ultimately it's a pass. But if you do see it, let me know what you think. It's coming to digital DVD and Blu-ray on June 13, 2023. And thanks so much for watching. If you like this review, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.